And the digital revolution, the internet and computer and smartphone and iPad revolution is incredibly powerful. It's still in its early stages. Where did that come from? It came from innovation, and it came from investment. And it is marked by a phenomenon that you've all heard about called Moore's Law, named after Gordon Moore, the engineer who recognized that the number of transistors that could be put on a chip was doubling every 18 to 24 months. And the law of doubling is such that now an Apple iPad 2 has more processing power than the most powerful supercomputer in the world in the 1980s that filled a space the size of this stage all the way up to the top. Moore's Law is not a law of physics. It's a law of investment. Because when they looked ahead and saw the fantastic potential for computer chips and the devices powered by them, they saw the opportunity to invest in research and development to gain market share, or at least to protect themselves against their competitors. And that an unspoken, silent agreement emerged in the computer chip industry, an assumption more than an agreement, that those companies that were able to stay on that cost-down curve of 50% reductions every 18 to 24 months would be safe. And so they marshaled the R&D funds necessary to keep coming up with the innovation to keep driving those advances. Now we have, in the photovoltaic industry, a very similar curve. And it is not fully recognized yet, because that industry is now at the stage comparable to where the computer industry was in the early 1980s. A niche player. But if you go back 30 years and more and look at the doubling times, it is an exponential J curve. The price came down last year 30% in 1 year. In the United States, the new installations last year doubled over 2009. The installations last year were 10 times what they were in 2005. I spent the last 2 days with a group of CEOs, including many who lead companies manufacturing solar panels in China, in India, in the United States, in other countries. And they're all seeing this emerge. And of course, China has made a massive commitment to try to dominate these markets. But if they are correct that this innovation is destined to continue, then it transforms the challenge that I have laid out in speaking about climate. Investors can play a crucial role. Sometimes magic occurs in business. There's an old saying in the United States in business, if we had some ham, we could have some ham and eggs if we had some eggs. And when an entrepreneur sees that the combining of capital and innovation and engineering talent and emerging markets converging at a point in the future can make magic, many of the most successful firms in the history of business have been built on that ability to see the opportunities of the future. And that's what many nations and regions are trying to do now with renewable energy. I think that the Netherlands, because of your history and traditions, fits with that model. We are at a fork in the road. We can continue on the path we have been traveling, continue putting 90 million tons of this heat-trapping pollution every day into the atmosphere, continuing our growing vulnerability on foreign oil markets, even as the demand outstrips the replenishment of supply, at a time when the Saudis are spending more money to quiet the waters during the Arab Spring and the price is not coming back down very much, as normally you would expect in a pre-recession or recession period. We can continue to ignore the scientific evidence, or we can take another path. And we can embrace the opportunities and jobs and enhanced security and additional hope for our children by taking the other fork in the road. I remember as a child of 13 years old, listening to a leader in my country at that time, President John F. Kennedy, challenging the United States to put a person on the moon and bring him back safely in 10 years. That was so thrilling to me. But I remember also how many among my elders in that age said, that was rash. We've never done that. It's unlikely, foolish to try something so ambitious. But 8 years and 2 months later, Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. And the moment he did so, in Houston, Texas, at Mission Control of NASA, a great cheer went up. And in that room, the average age of those systems engineers was 26. Which means their average age when they heard that challenge was 18. Listen to the 18-year-olds in the Netherlands today and what they are saying about this challenge that we have before us. Not too many years from now, that next generation will live in a world that is shaped by the consequences of the decisions we make now.